Listen, man, we got to discuss some breaking news involving the Charlotte Hornets. Listen, they finally let go of Nick Smith Jr. We all knew this was coming. Real Lamelo Ball fans knew this was going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. I am not shocked at all. Listen, these guys got to get rid of, the cup check regime players, unfortunately. I wanted to get to this, but I'm happy that I was able to let it marinate. Nick Smith, I seen this coming. I mean, like I said, anybody that knows Charlotte Hornets basketball, they are in a serious logjam right now with the players and the personnel. The decisions have to be made now. So when you bring in the McNeelys of the world and obviously you bringing in Knipple, you bringing in Sexton, you bringing in Spencer Dinwiddie. Oh, it's a problem, especially when you got a guy that possibly needs a little bit more help. One of the things that I seen before they even waived him, and this is why I knew he was going to get waived, because I was following Nick Smith Jr. all off season. And it's crazy that they even did this because Nick Smith was a consummate professional. Nick Smith was working on his game. Nick Smith probably needed to go to the Summer League one more time. But for whatever reason, they did not allow him to do that. And there's numerous reasons why. You don't need Nick Smith going in there and taking away from the other players that they want to see progress. Because if Nick Smith went in there, he throws a monkey wrench in the whole system. We don't see the KJ. Mind you, I forgot about KJ Simpson. So Nick Smith, he just falls in. Maybe if he was a center, he may have been able to hang around. But listen, this guy, they're going to be jockeying for position at the perimeter. We know that Lamelo and Miller is going to take the lion's share of the minutes. And you got to have people behind those guys that is reliable. You can't bring in people who you can't rely on, people who is not going to be able to hold it down for you when it's time. That's a very serious situation. And Hornets fans around the world should be happy and be rejoiceful, unfortunately. These are the tough things that have to be done. This was necessary for Lamelo Ball and the Hornets to take the next step. When you have a season that you had before, listen, all bets are off. More people could be out the door. People who were not drafted. I guess it started with this regime with TJ and Salon. They try to run around with Brandon Miller like that's their pick or whatever, but it is what it is. I want to see what they do with TJ and Salon, because I believe that's the guy that they going to have to. I seen bright spots from him. Now last year I was a little bit alarmed and concerned because you seen other rookies step onto the scene and do this and that. You trying to figure out what's up with TJ. But what I seen during the Summer League, let's see now with Nick Smith departing, is he going to be able to step in and take it up a notch? Because I believe the Hornets have players that could play multiple different positions. Lamelo obviously is the point guard, but he can come off ball, and at times on this roster for them to win, not for them to win, but there will be times on this roster where you see Lamelo come off ball. Where maybe you see Miller handling it. He may be on the floor with Colin Sexton. Mind you, Colin Sexton this guy was a starting point guard in this league. So Sexton is going to be able to step in if Lamelo, God forbid, something goes left. And I got something to talk about with that too, so make sure you don't touch that dial. If you want Hornets content, all things Lamelo, make sure you subscribe to Flight Sports and hit the bell on the icon. We got an extravagant week ahead of us. Do not get mixed and screwed, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be bringing the content to you. But like I said, we here now discussing this Nick Smith situation, but I'm here to tell you that more people could be on the way out the door. The Hornets are trying to get to where they need to get to. And Nick Smith, just like why they did not allow him, he couldn't even practice with the Summer League team. But what I want to get back to was, before we get to the Summer League, Nick Smith was doing a lot of things. He was working out. He was in a lot of Charlotte, Queen City pro-ams. Where I believe one game we even posted out there, he put up 55 points or something like that. So this guy was going off. He was doing what he had to do, what he was capable of. But I just think that he always was going to get pushed out. because of the circumstances. And it's not his fault. You know, Nick Smith, it seemed like the Hornets have a better developmental system in place. I hope that Nick Smith gets another opportunity, and I know that he will. You got to think about something right now. A lot of Hornets players that was on the roster, they probably didn't excel with Charlotte, but when they went to a different team, when you seen what happened with a lot of other players, what was it, Nick Richards? You about to see it now with Mark Williams. When guys leave Charlotte, it's like they just start to take off. You know, and let's see now if that's going to be the case for Nick Smith Jr. wherever he goes. I hope he can get to a veteran team, because obviously he just came off of a younger team. Let's get Nick Smith around some veterans. Nick Smith still could shoot it. I don't believe that he is James Bouknight, but that's one thing he's going to have to establish with himself now, because they couldn't even trade him. You got to look at that too. You know, it was obviously no trade value for Nick Smith. They wasn't going to attach nothing to Nick. See, I always thought that it was going to be a situation where you move Nick Smith along with a guy like Miles Bridges or something. You know, clearly Nick Smith Jr. alone is not bringing in any type of revenue in the trade market. That's why they just cut their ties and said, just go ahead, just go on about your business. Because they and mind you, they had to let go of, I believe, it might be one more player they got to let go of. You know, mind you, they just brought in this kid Sims from the summer league who was balling out. So these are guys that this ownership, this organization, this version, you know, with Peterson and company, these are their selections now. Now they're gonna have to filter what they were brought into, and Nick Smith was one of the people who basically they inherited Nick Smith Jr. You know, so now it's time for them to start their own situation. And if Lamelo does not stay healthy, I think that it could be another situation, because the Hornets, I think they want to really get behind their guys. And I think that Miller is going to be a guy that sticks around, you know, for the long haul if they did move on from Lamelo. But I don't think that's going to be the case. You know, I think that Lamelo, as you can see, he's coming in camp a lot stronger. You know, I think he's going to be a lot more durable for this upcoming year. This is going to be exciting, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you don't touch that down. Make sure you subscribe to Flight Sports for more news updates and more. Nick Smith Jr. was waived. But like I said, this was necessary, because you got to open up the floor for the rest of your guys that you got on this roster. You know, you got Connington out here. You got people that's reliable. You know, now you don't have to worry about crossing your fingers if Nick Smith going to make the shot. Is Nick Smith going to make the right decision? Now you got people who, you know, Connington, he been there, he done that. Spencer Dinwiddie, he been there, he done that. Colin Sexton, he been there, he done that. You know, so these are the people that's going to be coming off the bench now. You don't need to worry. You can't have that. So I'm going to leave it at that, y'all. It's Flight Sports TV. Make sure you hit the like button and most definitely hit the subscribe button. Peace and love.